Stop worrying about others. Guys, stop worrying about others. Stop worrying about that guy that you keep seeing on social media. Stop worrying about that guy flexing his money. Stop worrying about that guy driving his Corvette. Stop. Because I promise you, it's not helping you. It is depleting you of your energy. It is depleting you of your hope for the future for yourself. You know, we live in a world that social media is at our fingertips. We live in a world where things and different external forces are put into our awareness that can take away from our energy in the day because we feel as though everybody around us is succeeding and we ourselves aren't. Guys, I've been there. I feel that on a very deep level with you, and I know what it feels like to look at other individuals and feel like you're not getting ahead. You're not in the position that they're in. But I promise you, the reason they're in that position is because they worked hard, right? They put themselves in a position for success. And to think for a second that you yourself can't do that is absolutely futile. You'll never get anywhere with that mindset. You'll never get anywhere with that mentality. I really challenge all of you to change your mindset while listening to this video and while listening to this influence, because all of you can achieve the goals that you have for yourself, right? The idea of looking at other individuals will steal from your happiness. It will deplete you of all the good in your life, right? We all have blessings, guys. I know life can be difficult. I know life can be hard, but there's always something to be grateful for. There's always something that you can look at and put into a different perspective and say, you know what, this is a good thing, right? It may feel bad in the moment. It may feel like crap. You have to look at it in a different way. You have to perceive it differently. And I challenge all of you to not be envious of these people that are successful, because all that's doing for you is making you feel like crap. I know how it feels like I said, and I want all of your energy to be up. And the way to do that is to look at these people as, you know what, these people worked hard, these people did what they needed to do, and I'm not, right? You need to take accountability. Accountability is one thing that we lack in this world. We'd like to blame other external forces because it's easier, right? It's an easier mindset to attain because it doesn't take work to blame other people. It doesn't take, work to point the finger, right? But when you're pointing the finger, you're pointing three fingers right back at yourself. And that is a parable or a phrase I like to tell myself every time I begin to judge others, whether they're being more successful, whether they have this and I don't, whatever it may be, which I tend not to do anymore because it just has not ever served me in my life, right? It never gave me anything. It never fulfilled me in any way. It never gave me purpose in this world. Anybody that is doing that, watching this video, needs to really take a look at how far that's gotten them in their life. How far is that mindset of looking at other individuals and being envious and jealous of their success gotten you? How far has that gotten you? Probably not very far. And so if that is not served you in any way, well, what is the best thing that we can do here? Well, we can shift it. We can do the exact opposite of what that is, right? So as opposed to looking at the individuals that are being successful and being envious and judging yourself and comparing yourself to those people, ask yourself, what is it that they did to get successful? Because when you start to realize that, you start to realize that there are certain traits and certain characteristics that those people have that got them in the position that they're in. They didn't just get there by luck, right? They created their luck. And so what this video is for is to inspire all of you to start looking at those people as influence in a good fashion, right? Not influence in a bad way, right? Look at it as, okay, what is it that they did? What is it that they're, like? Who are they as an individual that ultimately allowed them to get the success that they have? And what that's going to quickly dawn upon you is that it's a lot more productive, and you'll start to begin to encapsulate and actually put forth those traits that that person is doing, as opposed to, disregarding it and saying that they got there by luck, right? Because that doesn't serve you anyway. That doesn't get you anywhere closer to where you want to be in life. It's a paradigm shift, and it's a tough one, but it takes a habit, right? You created a bad habit of judging others. You created a bad habit of looking at the rich or looking at the successful and blaming them, right? Saying that they got lucky, so on and so forth, and making yourself feel better in that way. Well, you can do the same thing in a more productive way, right? You can create a different habit. You can create a different characteristic to yourself where you begin to look at those people as influential. You look at those people as good, as opposed to looking at it as something bad, right? Or as something that's unprofitable for you, right? And I've noticed, in my past that, whenever I would look at that, it never served me in the way that I wanted it to, right? And it ultimately, once again, depleted me of the energy that I needed in order to achieve my goals. And so start to be inspired by people. That's the big takeaway from this video, is that if you begin to be inspired by people and you examine things at the base of it, you start to become more aware, you start to become more knowledgeable, and you become less ignorant in the areas that you want to be in, right? You start to become more complacent with the knowledge that you have, and you start to become more compatible with who you want to be, right? If you want to be like that person, right? Because, a lot of the time if we're jealous of someone, it's because we're not, that person. It's because we can't relate to that person. It's because they have something that we don't. So all we got to do is become what that person is to some varying degree, or take some of the characteristics that we like in that person and use it to our advantage. Help us, push us in that direction as well. And all of you can do that. It just takes getting rid of that habit and forming a new one. And so habits are a huge thing, guys. Look at the habits that you have, right? Look at the ways that you're judging people. Look at the things that you're doing in your day and ask yourself, are these things serving me, right? Is judging another individual actually serving me, or is it depleting me? Is, being envious of people hurting me, or is it actually serving me, right? And a lot of the time you'll obviously realize that it's not serving you anyway, and you know it, right? But this is a good reminder to remind yourself and let you know that all you got to do is shift your idea of it. All you got to do is take something from it as opposed to throwing it away, because you can learn from anything, right? And I believe that. And so being able to do that will open up your awareness, and you'll become more of a knowledgeable person. And before you know it, you'll start to once again encapsulate those traits. And so the world that we live in can be one of two ways. It can be bad or good, right? We can perceive it as good, or we can perceive it as bad. And perception is reality. I touch on this almost in every video that I've made so far, because people's perception of life is very negative a lot of the time. And that's not for everybody, right? And frankly, that's a perception that I have, right? But if you shift that and I look around and I actually see the good qualities in people and the fact that there are people that have good perspectives, well, that's going to be my world, right? It depends on how I want to look at it, right? So if something is not profitable for me, or if something does not get me closer to my goals, I don't want it. Right? Whether it be a mindset, whether it be an ideology, whether it be a thing that I'm doing, a habit, doesn't matter. You have to look at the areas in your life that are serving you, and then the areas of your life that aren't serving you. And I promise you, judging other people and comparing them to yourself is not doing you well. So how do we form a new habit, right? You have to start to become aware. You have to look at yourself. Every interaction that you have, every YouTube video that you watch, every social media post that you consume, you have to look at it in a different perspective. What can I learn from this, as opposed to what can I judge from this, right? You have to look at it that way, because what that's going to do is it's going to get you closer to where you want to be. It's going to allow you to look at that person as opposed to degrading them and making them, something that they really aren't, which is bad, right? You start to look at it as positive. You start to look at it as good. You start to look at it as something that can help you, right? If you have the choice and you have the opportunity to actually put yourself in a position for success, why wouldn't you do it? You have an opportunity to do that every single day. Every interaction that you have, every conversation that you have, every person that you meet, you have an opportunity to take good traits from them and put them in yourself. You see a good person walking in the store, they greet you well, and you like that. You like the way that made you feel, right? It made you feel something. Maybe perhaps someone sold you something, and it was a service that you weren't really certain of, you weren't really wanting to buy in the first place, but because of their attitude, because of their energy, and because of their influence on you, you actually bought. You actually wanted to include yourself in that service and actually put money towards it, right? So that's a very powerful skill. So if you looked at that as a negative, or you looked at that as, this person is just money hungry, or you looked at it from the only point of view that you've been looking at it from, which is negative, well, that's how the world is going to be to you. You're going to perceive it that way, and that's how reality will be to you. But if you look at it from a good point of view, I promise you can gain a lot more. So it's a very short video, but I tend to notice that a lot of us judge. A lot of us are very predisposed to judging, and myself included, guys. We're all like this. We all have those tendencies, but I promise you it's a lot more profitable if you don't do that. It's a lot more profitable if you take things from everything and you apply it to your life, because you're just going to have more tools in your tool belt. And because of that, you're going to be able to handle a lot more experiences with a lot more knowledge, with a lot more capability, and you'll be able to really just get closer to your goals and achieve the things that you want. So just a little reminder for all of you. I really believe in all of you, and I think that you can be whatever you want to be, and you can shift your reality whatever way you want to shift it. You just have to start doing good things for yourself, and know that judging yourself and comparing yourself is not serving you. So God bless all of you. Take care.